Everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Practice the Kingdom vlog. I want to talk to you a little bit today about hearing the Lord in the midst of circumstances, talking to people, running around, and things like that. So let's dive into it. How do you do it? How does this work when you are in the middle of something and you're talking to people and you're trying to maintain like a connection with the Lord? I think it takes a little bit of practice in knowing Him in the secret place, being able to discern His voice, beginning to learn and practice those things. I want to talk to you about two stories about what that looked like for me today and how, and stepping out in that and what the Lord did. So first story with trying to hear the Lord in circumstances was I was sitting down with a person and we were talking about peace. And this person had been through some difficult circumstances and situations, and they were feeling anxiety, fear, not being able to trust the Lord, and a number of other things that the Lord worked through. So I was taking them through those steps to peace that I learned from Full Stature, and just kind of going through that with them. And one of the things about in the midst of a conversation and going through that with people is listening to the Lord and going, okay, Lord, what's happening here? And part of that is trying to learn when the Lord's moving and discerning and feeling His Spirit moving in other people. And that might sound crazy and weird, but a lot of people, if they are new to hearing the Lord and walking in His presence like that, it's difficult to discern sometimes. And so sometimes it can be helpful if I'm like, okay, that's it right there. And that the Lord just brought peace right here. He moved in this way, or He did this. And I'm not always 100% right on the timings of those things yet. And so there's still definitely like a pausing and waiting and going, okay, I feel like something just happened and the Lord did something in them right here. And then I kind of wait for it. And what's fun is a lot of times I'll be like, okay, I feel like the Lord just did something here. And then the person looks up and I'm like, Yep, the Lord just moved right there. And so it's interesting because there's a section of it is like listening for the voice of the Lord. Another part is like feeling what the Lord is doing. I know that might sound a little bit weird and strange, but it is something that you can begin to discern and begin to feel happening. And so another aspect of that in that particular situation and situations like this is asking the Lord and hearing the Lord on the things that the Lord wants to do inside of somebody to help bring freedom and to set them free and to help people to walk in wholeness. And so it's interesting as you're kind of going through those steps and going, okay, Lord, is there something else that you're wanting to do? What is that? Like, how does that work? And so as I'm listening, I hear different aspects from the Lord. It's like, hey, I want to work on this for that person. Ask them one more time to ask me to what they need to release and let go. And so I'm like, hey, I think the Lord still wants to do this in this situation. Like, hey, I think He still wants to speak to you. I think He still wants you to release something. Would you be okay with if we continued, if we went to Him again? And so then if the person says yes, and they want to keep going, the Lord comes in and He moves and He speaks to them in powerful ways. So it was really neat just kind of watching all of this take place and watching the Lord move and watching the Lord just bring peace into somebody's life. The last part on that is listening to the Lord on when to stop. Like when is it the time that He wants to stop kind of diving in? It's interesting. I think as the Lord brings peace into somebody's life, there's like a piece of deliverance that's taking place because the Lord's setting people free. And sometimes people get tired in the midst of that. And so there's like, okay, like the Lord, like I'm listening to the Lord, and the Lord's like, hey, we need to stop after this one. I don't want you to keep going. It's that we need to pause on this. And so we did that, and it was recognized that that was the good time to stop. There was one last thing that the Lord wanted to do right before we got to that stopping piece. I felt like the Lord wanted to share something really positive with them and wanted to kind of communicate how he sees them. And it was really cool because they heard from the Lord. They were like, I feel like the Lord told me I'm he is their friend. And it brought them peace. Like the Lord shows up and talks to people. It's just beautiful. It's awesome. And then he came in and shared some other really neat stuff with this person. So it's so cool how he does it. The second thing that I want to share with real quick, and this one's a fast one, is listening to the Lord and feeling the Lord as you're going. So I was walking out of that same meeting, and as I'm leaving, my left knee really starts to hurt. I'm like, ow, 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 why? This is hurting more than it normally does. Like this is, okay, something's happening here. And so I turn around, a guy is getting out of his vehicle. And as he's getting out of this vehicle, I see him like stumbling, like walking really slow. So I'm like, I'm gonna take a big risk on this, and I'm just gonna call out this to the person. I'm like, hey, does your left knee hurt? And the guy turns around and he's like, yeah, I'm supposed to have surgery. I'm getting it replaced. I'm like, hey, dude, I've been seeing a bunch of people get healed. I'd love to pray for you in the name of Jesus. Would that be okay? And so he's like, I got to hurry. I was like, take 2 seconds. Let me just pray for you. So I prayed for him real quick. And, we had to go, but we didn't really get to have the opportunity to test it with him. But that's not a point of this particular talk today and this particular daily vlog. It's how do we hear the Lord in those everyday situations and moving forward? One, we got to be open to him. We got to be listening to him. We got to submit to him. We got to keep our eyes on him. We got to be aware of what's going around us. Like, and when I say around us, like, my knee hurt. Okay, why does my knee hurt? Is that my knee or is it somebody else's knee? And then you look around, oh, there's a dude with a hurt knee. Or, hey, I feel like the Lord is moving in this thing. This is what I see him doing. Hey, does this identify with you? And you kind of dive into that and you see the Lord. You begin to discern, you begin to see how the Lord is working. It's really important to always keep our eyes on the Lord and what he's doing. And Jesus said he only did what he saw the Father doing, which is super cool. I want to be in that same spot. Like, Jesus, I just want to do what I see you doing. And so it's going to be fun. So I hope this was encouraging to you. I hope that you are blessed and that you'll begin to even more practice hearing his voice, hearing what he's doing, seeing what he's doing, and then taking risks to step out into the things that he is doing. And you might stumble. You might fall flat on your face sometime, but it's okay. You can do it. It's going to be great. You'll get there. You're going to learn and you're going to see and it's just going to build on each other. It's going to be so fun. So I'd love to hear some stories about how the Lord's doing this in your life. And I want to pray for you real fast. Father, I bless every person that's listening right now to be able to hear your voice, feel your presence, feel and see and hear what you're doing. And I pray courage into every person here that they'll be able to step out and practice the kingdom, practice what you're doing and walk in your ways. In the name of Jesus. Peace.